welcome to our live stream and our Zoom Metaverse Concerts 101 with Josh Lucas. And we are live streaming from Kingston, Cataraqui, which is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and the Anishinaabe people. And we would like to remind everyone that we are settlers on this land, and the original caretakers are very much working to come to reconciliation with the past injustices that have been done. And we at Swirls are also finding ways to make sure that we can be as inclusive and as diverse as possible. Part of that is in who we have looked for to provide workshops, and also invited to participate in workshops, and also how we're going to support going forward. So please stay tuned to our website, swirlsxart.com, which will be updated as soon as we have information. We put new information on. So the updates come as soon as there's news to be had. And if you keep visiting back, you'll see new workshops being added, and also new initiatives that we're going to be taking. I'd like to thank Harry, because Harry is the inceptor of the whole workshop series, and he's here with us today. So thank you, Harry, for doing this, because I think the community has really enjoyed so far the workshops that have been offered, and we've enjoyed meeting wonderful people like Josh and Matt Rogalski last weekend, and Andrew Johnson, and Alex Doe, and we have so many more people, and Raven and Merlin and Rinchin, who came Wednesday last week, 2 weeks ago, last week. Life's a blur. But anyway, I hope that everyone who's joining us today will take some time and look at the swirlsxart.com website, check out the workshop, sign up so that you get the most up-to-date information, and also join us for PXR. Because PXR is it's not ours, but it's some of our sponsors, some of the people who are helping us along with this workshop series, Single Thread Theater Company and the Electric Theater Company, as well as Spiderweb Show. Now, Spiderweb Show has their own thing that they do, but Single Thread and the Electric Theater Company do a thing called PXR, which is a national conference on extended realities. And I highly encourage people to drop in and see that, because it's, Harry says it'll blow your mind. So I'm looking forward to having my mind blown this year. So I just want to say welcome to Josh, and I'm going to hand things over to you, Josh, and let you lead the way. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm very excited. This is a topic that I spend most of my free time talking about, and a lot of even my work efforts have been to connect with artists in Web3, in XR, in VR, and sort of share information and collaborate. So I'm very excited to share this little piece, which, is dear to my heart, which is music performance in the metaverse, and how does that work? So I think when people think about the word the metaverse, they think, oh, I don't even know what that is. Is that a video game? Is that Facebook? Is that VR? I think it's kind of leaves most artists with a big question mark. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify that the metaverse really right now is sort of undefined. One could argue that it's existed for a long time in digital media platforms such as YouTube, such as social media, and now is evolving into more immersive experiences with virtual reality, with augmented reality, and so on. A lot of metaverse platforms are either 3D, where you grab your VR headset and you can experience them inside of a VR headset, or they're 2D. There's surprisingly a lot of metaverse platforms that are initially just offering desktop and browser access, primarily because a lot of people don't have VR headsets, or they're expensive, or they've never used one before. And so in terms of creating accessible digital virtual experiences, a lot of platforms are choosing to build on 2D through a browser, or accessible through a browser or mobile device first. And then from there, opening up their platforms to VR, and being offered in different VR stores, such as the Oculus store, and so on. So, I'm a musician. All you musicians out there watching now or watching later the replay, I want to get involved in this Web3 thing. I want to perform, a metaverse concert. How do I go about doing that? I don't know where to start. I think one of the most important things to say is that it's actually way easier to begin performing in the metaverse than you probably even imagine. As long as you have a smartphone that can connect to the internet, you can begin performing in the metaverse. So a lot of 2D platforms are kind of set up for live streaming directly from your phone into their platform via a video screen or screen sharing, and so you know I want to strip it back and say that kind of the first thing that you should be thinking about is, well, what is my setup? Before we even talk about getting to, connecting your live stream up, we should talk about kind of your performance environment. Do you have, a quiet space that's well lit, that allows, you to perform and be heard well acoustically? Is your phone relatively up to date and new, so that the video quality and the audio quality and processing is going to be as best as it can be? These are sort of the, fundamentals to conveying a really great performance, is making sure that sort of the basic setup that you have is going to allow your art and music to come across as in the best quality possible. So when we think about setting up for a live stream, there's obviously a lot of people are familiar with going live to Instagram, going live to Facebook, going live to YouTube. And the process for going live in the metaverse is very similar. You make sure that you kind of decide which platform you want to be kind of your flagship platform. And from there, that could sort of be like the central hub for which your broadcast can be sent. What's exciting is you can actually broadcast to a single place through different streaming software, and then have that disseminate out into multiple platforms. There's software such as OBS, StreamYard, or even something called Video Ninja, which allow you to kind of create a customized streaming dashboard, and then stream outwards to all of the various social platforms that you'd like. So I think what I'll begin with talking about which platforms I'm most experienced with, and how they kind of work, and showcasing a little bit of a demonstration of what it's like to get set up. So the very first platform that I'd like to show everyone is called Spatial IO. Now, I think, just a side note here, different platforms are compatible with different video streaming services. Some platforms like AltSpace VR are not compatible with streaming services like Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube. So there is sort of like a nuanced art to figuring out which streaming platform is going to work for which metaverse platform, and whether or not they're going to talk to each other and cooperate. It really comes down to different companies and international corporations owning different things and wanting preference for their products over other products. So Spatial IO, I'll just share my screen here. Spatial IO is a really cool platform. Um, what I really love about this platform is they actually started as a office co-working space platform for virtual reality. They've been around for a long time, and they kind of began by creating environments for different coworkers to sort of get together and meet in VR and discuss work if they were not in the same location or internationally collaborating. And then kind of, this huge surge of creativity started being, pushed through the pandemic into the metaverse. Artists and creators and developers started investing lots of time and effort into creating works of art and environments and all sorts of tools. And Spatial sort of decided to make a left turn and really jump on board for the ride. And as you can see just by this video that's playing here, um, we have lots of different artists and integrations. One thing that's really cool is they recently integrated with Ready Player Me, which means that you could customize an avatar and actually import that avatar into their platform and into their worlds. You can upload your face and it'll scan kind of your face and digitally mesh it over top of your avatar. So, a true 3D version of you, full body with legs, can exist in this platform. The other thing that's really cool about this platform is they offer a mobile application, they offer a desktop browser access, or you can check it out in VR headset. And what's so amazing about that is you can connect with your Google email, and really the onboarding process for experiencing a platform like this is as streamlined as it gets. One side note, this platform also integrates with different crypto wallets. So what's really cool is you can also connect your NFT wallets and actually import various digital assets to be displayed, if you have a world. So I'm going to show you an environment that I made. So this is a recording studio. And here we have a little recording studio space that I created, I don't know, maybe about a year ago. You can walk around in this environment. I've got some artwork on the walls. These are actually various NFTs that I've purchased. And what I really like about Spatial is if you're interested in building worlds, it is pretty much as easy as it gets in terms of a process. You can upload a 3D file into the platform. So if I were to upload this file here, we can look at it and look at this. Now I've got a little virtual gallery that I can make my main environment and potentially perform inside. And it's that simple. And to get rid of it, just delete it. And there we go. So really, like, such an incredibly easy platform to use. So how do I live stream? Well, first you would set up your live stream. So for me, I like to use Twitch. I personally feel that Twitch, because of how many users it has and the applications with gaming, audio and video are kind of optimized on Twitch. And I really like the treatment and compression and how fast the platform live streams as compared to other platforms. I just think that personally, it's the most stable signal that you're going to get. So if we go share a screen, let's just see here. Let me quickly go to my video live stream here. Chrome tab. Okay, so we'll share my entire screen for now. What you should see is, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to do it a little differently. But what you should see here is this is my video player. I'm going to make it larger. And if we zoom over to my live stream here, we'll be able to kind of hear me performing. So just for the time being, I'm just going to mute my mic, and then you should be able to hear me play some.
Josh, you're still muted.
Thank you so much. What's really cool about this is it's that simple to begin sharing a screen that's in a separate browser of your live stream. People can join in their various avatars. And, you know, that is as basic as it gets in terms of beginning to perform in the metaverse. You'll see here with my avatar that this is my Ready Player Me. There's my face. And so I've, been a part of concerts in Spatial that have, 50, 60 different avatars all joining for various devices on their phones. Some people are in headset, some people being on desktop browsers. And really, to me, this is the most accessible on-ramp to begin performing. There are other platforms similar to this, Mozilla Hubs, also Decentraland, which some people might have heard of, is another really, really popular platform that's desktop based only that people use in the crypto community to perform. So you connect a crypto wallet and it gives you access to Decentraland, which is kind of an invite only community. You have to own a piece of land there and you purchase that with crypto, and you have to own a piece of land there to be able to put on events and so on and so forth. And only the people that you invite can participate in those events. So for me, that's a little bit of a more complicated process of, I need to learn how to open up a crypto wallet and a MetaMask wallet. I need to understand, how to connect that and remember my seed phrase, private keys, and all of those kind of steps are a little bit complicated as well. The actual process of designing environments is much more difficult than Spatial. So for this reason, I really recommend Spatial as kind of like the beginning platform for anyone that just wants to get started now. So I'm just, couldn't hear the audio that we played. Okay. So I'm just going to now show you another platform. This other platform is one of my favorites. It is called AltSpace VR. And what I love about AltSpace is it has a really established community that's incredibly inviting. Again, in terms of the experience of using sort of a social VR platform, it really is, in my opinion, one of the best. And the things that you can do in terms of world building and in terms of building environments are just so much more vast than a platform like Spatial. You really can create all sorts of kits and import all sorts of different types of objects and really design worlds both in the platform or on a program called Unity that are mind blowing. And so as a musician, what's really exciting is, normally if I wanted to create this, incredible set where I'm performing, on an asteroid somewhere, and I've got these visuals of, shooting stars coming across the sky and whatnot, it would cost millions and millions of dollars and take weeks and weeks to develop, and there'd be all these moving parts and all these teams to manage. You'd have to make sure to sell all those tickets and get those butts and seats and pay back all of the loans that you took out to produce a show of this caliber. And so the logistics of trying to do some of these things for your music performances in real life are just, impossible for the average artist, independent artist, or even larger artist on, an indie label or small label. It's just not reasonable. And so I get really excited about the ability to create experiences for audiences that you'd never be able to do otherwise. So I will share my screen and show you what the process is like for creating a live stream in AltSpace VR. So I'm just going to get rid of this screen temporarily and show you kind of this platform just a little bit. So very similar to the other platform, you spawn in as a little avatar. You can walk around. So again, I'm in the same recording studio, but just built a little bit differently in a different platform here. And so what I can do is, it's not called share. It's not screen sharing because AltSpace is primarily VR focused. Now I am on a desktop version for demonstration purposes. So you can access this platform through a 2D medium and web application. But AltSpace is really a world building platform, I would say. And so it best shines when you're actually in a VR headset. So the way that it works is you have to install an extension into Microsoft Edge browser. So a lot of people might be familiar with Google Chrome extensions for Chrome. Microsoft owns AltSpace VR, and so they encourage all of the users to run the web projector or video player through Microsoft Edge browser. And so the first step for kind of getting this system hooked up is you want to connect your Microsoft Edge browser with your AltSpace VR account. And the way you do that is you install a specific extension, and that extension allows you to sign in. And once you sign in, that extension is now connected to your account and active. To show you the other part of this, after you've signed in, you would come into AltSpace and you would go to basics, and this is some basic objects that you can import into here. For example, you can create a little zone for audiences that is the only amount of space that they can travel within. So if you want to block off things that are behind scenes or behind stage or backstage, or if you have an area you want a limited audience to, you can create that here. You can also create a host zone if you'd rather just create a stage in which only the host can access. You can do that too. And there's many, many, many different things in here that you could do. But for today, we're going to open up Web Projector. And here we are. Here's our Web Projector screen. And once we have that open, up at the top here, it actually has a button that says connect. Now, what's really cool about this is it actually shows you the steps in here. It tells you to install that extension I was talking about, log into your account in the extension, and then click start streaming. And then from here, we can connect. So I'm just going to make sure that I am in fact streaming to that extension. I'm not. So I think it would be beneficial to show everyone that process. So you should be able to see my Twitch stream now. This is the one tab that I have open. And up here at the top, this is the AltSpace extension I was talking about. We're going to click it. And then as you can see, it gives me some basic options. There's my name, Joshua Lucas. I'm signed in. I can choose to stream a desktop application or this particular tab. So I'm going to choose this tab. I can also choose the video quality. For the sake of today, 720p is fine. And I'm going to click Start Streaming. Now it is streaming everything on this tab. I'm going to make this full screen. And we're going to go back into AltSpace to be able to now connect that. So here we are back in AltSpace. And if we go and we click on this connect button, now we can see my Twitch stream, which again is me performing. Now, if I start playing this synth here, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear it. If someone could write in the chat if that's being able to be heard, please let me know. Okay, I'm just going to check out the chat button right here. We can. Okay, great, you can. So let's see what a concert in AltSpace VR might look like. Now, for me, I would normally be wearing a virtual reality headset because I would want to also be in this VR environment with the audience and engaging with them with my avatar. I'll come back to that in a little bit, but for now, we'll just do a quick little test of audio and see how this all sounds. Girl, don't do me wrong. Don't do me wrong.
Can't stop coming back for more. I'm falling in love.
What you notice there is you're probably hearing two different signals. You're hearing me singing something, and then you're hearing the delay of the video screen. So I wanted to kind of illustrate that even though these are really cool tools for us to stream into these virtual reality platforms, there are some downsides. One of the downsides is the latency of sending a live stream from my phone over to Twitch, and then from Twitch, connecting it in Microsoft Edge to an AltSpace Chrome extension, starting to stream from that Chrome extension, and then sending that stream into AltSpace VR in a headset or desktop, and then connecting it to this screen here that we are now watching, so that can be projected back to all of the avatars and users experiencing that virtual environment. So it is quite the chain of events to get a live stream from my phone of me performing music into the platform. And I do find that this presents some challenges when it comes to monitoring audio for yourself when you're actually inside of VR, because I'm singing something and then I'm hearing it back a few seconds later, sometimes as long as 5 to 7 seconds later, which can be very confusing for a musician to be hearing some crazy echo and hearing themselves out of time. So, what I recommend for this is to whatever platform that you are live streaming into, to mute that platform while you're performing, at least for the time being, until the interconnectivity of these tools kind of catches up. So I'll perform that small piece of music again, only this time I'll let you hear it without my microphone on, okay? So, with a little improvisation there, hopefully everyone can heard that. If you did, please let me know in the chat, just so that I know that everything's up and working. But yeah, so from here, I mean, really, the sky is the limit in terms. Perfect, thank you. In terms of what you decide to do with your performance. Once you kind of have the basics, which is, you know, a phone, an environment that is optimized for live streaming, good lighting, quiet for so that your audio signal is clear. Really from there, it's just about learning a couple things to connect these tools together, and to begin performing. One thing I'll quickly show is that we don't have to always just live stream the music components. Sometimes what we can choose to do is inside of these platforms, we can choose to project other things, for example. So if I go to YouTube and say type in fractal visuals, and I start playing something really cool, like some kind of cool fractal thing. What we can then do is we can then go back into alt space, and we could choose to instead, let's just make sure this connects here. hold on one second. I think I'm just going to create a new screen just because it'll be easier to showcase. Okay, perfect. So again, basics, web projector, backing up, clicking connect. And now we have some really, really cool visual effects that would be very, very difficult if we wanted in real life to set up a screen, and sort of add these sort of extra elements into our performance. So there's many, many tools that I personally like with AltSpace VR. Because of just the way that it's set up, it sort of enables you to add in these extra elements of world building, really interesting environments to perform in, as well as adding these really cool visuals to support your music performance, which I think is great. If we were to quickly go to a different world of mine that I've built, let's jump over here and enter a world that I made because I really wanted to perform on a comet in outer space. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if there was a club called Club Comet that existed on an asteroid in outer space? I feel like that would be a really, really great place for me to perform a concert. And so the process again is your imagination really is the limit here. I think that what's so exciting for me is no longer do I have to carry and slug all of my equipment in and out of various venues in the wintertime and be on the road and be on tour and playing in environments that are less than ideal. I can set up an environment at home in my own home that is ideal for live streaming. For me, all the levels are perfect to what I like to have in terms of my personal settings and everything. I'm just gonna wait for that to load. And yeah, it's just one of those things where there are so many exciting possibilities for creating these ideal performance experiences and sets and worlds that really you'd never be able to make or to have access to, and now all of a sudden you can. And furthermore, in terms of exposure as an artist, I couldn't travel internationally to have exposure to European markets or Asian markets. International markets are very difficult to connect with, and especially if you want to be building audiences in different places around the world. VR allows you to sort of create a bridge and make it more accessible, make your music accessible and your performance accessible to people around the world, I think in a way that's much more immersive than just live streaming online. And so just before we sort of wrap up and I open up to any questions, I just want to take a second here and show you, that world that I was talking about. I'm just reloading the platform. But again, I think it could start really easy with just a phone. But if you really, really want to optimize your audio experience and your visual experience, there's a lot of iterations that sort of come from this process. For me, I started with just a simple phone, and then eventually I said I need a nicer phone, and then I said I'd like to get lenses for that phone and audio interface that connects to that phone. And I really started to then explore, okay, well, what does my music setup look like? What does my equipment look like? And start to run higher quality equipment, run a better microphone into my setup, and get some lighting in my room, and then obviously adding a blue screen to be able to explore now some mixed reality elements. So you could really start to dive pretty deep into all of these nuances of increasing the quality of the production of your live streams. But again, before you think about or get worried about all of those details, you really can just start with a phone, and your instrument. So the last thing I'll do here, before I wrap up, is I'll just share the alt space screen one more time. And as you can see, now we are on a comet in outer space. And as we sort of approach this space station, we'll start to walk up the ramp. If you notice in the sky, we are blasting through the universe at, the speed of light. No. And so here I've created a little venue, a little environment called Club Comet, and people could come and experience live performances by myself. Finally, I'd like to end a little bit future forward in terms of some of the experiments that I'm doing, which is to now bring holographic projection of my own personal music live streaming setup into the metaverse. So here's a photo of me on a blue screen and projecting just my body and equipment into virtual reality. So no longer is it, oh, we're going to put up a video screen just like you'd see on YouTube, or you'd see on Instagram or something. Now we're actually breaking that reality and sort of having just the chroma keyed out outline, and truly getting that mixed reality experience of, wow, the real performer is inside of VR, and I'm seeing a projection of their real self that doesn't have that same feeling of two-dimensionalism when you have sort of the edges and borders of a video screen. So I'm really excited to debut this holographic VR concert work that I've been working on for the past year at PXR this year, which I'm really excited and encourage people to attend if they can. And with that, there's Metaverse Music 101. There's many other things I can get into, but for this workshop, I really wanted to give people the tools to get started at all levels of experience. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh. I don't know where my video went. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Let me just check and see. I probably accidentally switched cameras. Just a minute. No, maybe that's not it. Yeah. Let's try this. Start video. There we go. Hi. Well done. Thank you so much. What a fascinating and amazing world you have. Like, that's just incredible what you can do. And I'm really looking forward to PXR and seeing what you've got for us there.
I was gonna say too, with live streaming music, it's not just music.
No.
This process of setting up these screens in these metaverse platforms, it could be for performance, it could be for monologues or acting or dancing. There's all sorts of ways. I've seen people screen their films in the metaverse. So really, this is sort of the on-ramp for musicians, but artists in general looking to perform in these metaverse platforms can do these different types of things. And it's pretty easy to get started. It's not as scary, I think, as it seems. For people to start performing in the metaverse.
And I like that it's not we're not stuck being our avatars, which I think is that's one of my fears as an artist. Now, I myself am not a performer, but I work with performers. Like, I create things for performers. So, they don't want to go in and be something that is not even as good as an avatar in a video game, right? They want to. So, we can bring a real body in there, even though you have to wear the mask. That's okay. I guess we could do it without and just have the audience wearing. But the blue screen thing, Like that's very cool how that works.
Yeah, like I actually started just in my headset as an avatar and, using the microphone built into the headset to try to play my guitar and have the guitar audio only coming out of my cartoon avatar. Um, and I mean, for some people actually, who are DJing, let's say in alt space VR or in other platforms, they actually like
Yeah,
performing as avatars, and I do think that there is a market for creating these fantastical alter egos where we could customize our avatars, and I could be DJ Dragon, and I could be a dragon who DJs in all these platforms, and that would be a really cool thing also to experience. But I think for most musicians who are kind of used to traditional performance, this kind of way of live streaming into these platforms makes a lot more sense for them. They might not necessarily want to go down that road of personifying themselves as a character avatar, and more likely want to just perform as the artists they are,
right.
and share their music in these other platforms and mediums. So
Yeah. I think most of the musicians and other live performers that I know want people to see them,
yes.
or like they definitely want, if they're musicians, they definitely want people to hear the music, but they want it to be attached to their physical body most of the time. Now, I do know one artist who is she's a brilliant musician, and all of her videos she's created stop motion animation for, but she uses images of herself in them. So if you know who she is, they do look like her. Um, and if you don't, you might not recognize her on the street. But if she said, "Oh, hey, then you go, "Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, I've seen you," kind of, because she cuts her face all up and moves her eyes around. It's very neat. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes, and I hope that some of the people that I've invited who are performers get to have a chance to play around with this. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to talk to Josh about or ask him? Josh, you have a few minutes. Are you able to do some
I,
talk back?
I absolutely, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Anybody? Harry, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Well, I just appreciate a chance to see the way that things work behind, having just like experienced PXR last year, and just sort of have some of that mystery a bit revealed, and given the sense that I too could work with this and develop something. So in that sense, I find, yeah, your workshop was enlightening and encouraging in terms of it's staying the course to continue my education here.
I'm a huge, advocate for on-ramp and accessibility and practical technology, use for creativity. I really don't like getting bogged down in technical limitations or, setbacks. For example, in the first blue screen tests I did were me going to the dollar store and buying, blue construction paper for $1 each. I bought 8 panels. It was $12 after tax. And there it is. And from there, I was a hologram. I mean, creating, simple systems for artists that are on smaller budgets, or don't necessarily have a lot of tools, or even, the money or time to invest in equipment and learning all of these things. I think it's just really important that we create kind of pathways for accessibility for these different artists to participate that may or may not be at all varying degrees of experience. So yeah, that's very important to me that anyone can do it. I just also wanted to say that the deeper you dive into it, the more complicated it gets, and the more, frustrating it gets. Even preparing for today, I was a little rusty. I was coming back, and I was joking earlier when we were doing our test about all the inception screens of, I got a screen and the camera and the screen, and then I'm going into a metaverse, and then a metaverse within a metaverse, and all of these various complicated technical aspects to doing this, which I think could be very overwhelming. If you're up for it, it's very exciting because you're able to do things that have never been done before. But again, if that sounds like a nightmare and very overwhelming, there are ways to just quickly go live on your phone, and you're off to the races.
So I actually have another question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Where do you see this going?
Yeah. For me, large scale concerts by major artists. Justin Bieber did basically I forget what it's called, but it's one of those motion sensor suits.
Yeah.
And he did a concert last year where he was in, like $1 million, studio, and he had all of the sort of circles on him, and it was tracking his performance. He performed live, and sort of a cartoon avatar version of him was superimposed in all of these different scenes, what felt like a movie. They're already experimenting with bringing all sorts of virtual environment concert experiences and mixed reality experiences to the masses. For me, though, I think it goes to the next level when that type of thing is accessible for the average artist. And furthermore, when the audience can then have an enhanced immersive experience with wearables and start to, wear these suits that allow them to feel the air and the rumble of being in a concert setting and environment, the sub frequencies hitting their body like it would be if you were close to a stage at a real concert. And so I think where it's headed is we're going to extend reality even further through our senses, and start to enhance how immersive these sort of art performances really are.
So what kind of attendance so you or Justin, like, as compared to maybe performing live?
Like who or how many people?
Well, how many people? I guess because coming from a theater background, the bums and seats are so important.
Yeah.
It's what keeps us alive.
Yeah.
And I think musicians are the same. It's just that they have a different kind of way most of the time. Like they get hired by a venue, and the venue has them back if enough people come and drink a beer, you know?
Yes.
So that's sort of a typical thing around Kingston. And we're a pretty hot spot for small to mid-size, but highly talented musician bands and things like that. So, for example, if my friends were playing at the local pub and it sells out every time they come, let's say there's 50 to 80 people at any time watching their concert, what do you think that translates to if they were going to be in the metaverse? Or a Justin Bieber concert would be a pretty big one, and then he's in the metaverse. Does he get more attendance, less, about the same?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a question of audiences that happen to be in different verticals. And what I'll say is, Justin Bieber had, thousands of people at that experience that he did. And so if we look at the percentage of his audience that was willing to go through the learning to onboard to be able to experience something like that, I would say still, because we're so early, it's relatively low. Now, that being said, that's taking your average audience who may know nothing about XR, and asking them to take a few steps to meet you over there. There are massive audiences in Web3 and in XR that you haven't even met yet, that you haven't for lack of a better word, connected with or won over as fans. So the other thing to think about is this is sort of a parallel effort. Not only are you building fans in real life through your traditional performances and live shows, you're also thinking about opening up to a whole new group of audiences, both nationally and internationally, that are waiting and ripe and desperate for artists to give them experiences. The thing that is missing the most in the metaverse is art. There's lots of really cool things, but people want to experience performance. There's something special about it being live. And I think that a lot of people who are users of VR and XR are hungry for artists to come in and to do their thing. And so when we talk about, a local band that sells out a pub every time they come to play, well, maybe the first step is offering a VR performance in, addition to that pub show. While they're in the pub, they've got a little VR pub, and they can invite some people in here and invite some people in real life, and perhaps bridge the gap as they play more of those shows and they have a VR metaverse component, while they start building a little audience over in the metaverse that consistently come and sell out those metaverse concerts too. So like anything, it's audience building, it's brand awareness and marketing. It is the same, but I think that people are really, really hungry for concerts in VR specifically and on these platforms. So I encourage artists to try it, see if it's for them. And the other quick thing is that it's cheap. It doesn't require a venue and lugging gear and having all the coordination. You could be at your home in your pajamas, and that's all you need. And from there you could sell tickets globally. So again, there are some plus sides to low cost, high revenue for artists that are yet to be explored as well.
That's great. I really appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions? Is there anybody on? I'm just going to check my phone and see. Haley, is there anybody on Facebook Live that has any questions? Or Amanda, if you could, because I'm not watching Facebook Live. Okay, thanks then. So, Josh, are you able to stick with me for a few minutes after and just love to have a little interview if you wouldn't mind?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for coming. This wraps up our Metaverse Concerts 101 with Joshua Lucas. Thank you so much, Josh. You've just been wonderful to us. Josh was our keynote speaker. In case y'all didn't know, he kicked off our whole workshop series on the 15th of October at Riverhead, and he was amazing. So please, I remind you, everyone, please do go back and visit swirlsxart.com and like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and you'll stay up to date on all our newest offerings. And remember, all of our workshops are free. We also have equipment that you are able to borrow if you need it. And Haley also asks, Josh, can you give us your social media handles and let us know what's up with that?
Yeah, so my handles are either Joshua Lucas Music or Joshua Lucas XR. So Twitter is Joshua Lucas XR, and also in the metaverse, it's Joshua Lucas XR. And then on all of my other socials, as well as streaming platforms, it's Joshua Lucas Music. So you can find me that way.
So let's all make sure that we like and follow Joshua Lucas XR and Joshua Lucas Music wherever we can find those two handles. And I will hopefully see everyone at our next workshop, which is November. It's Wednesday this week coming up. It's at Modern Fuel Gallery. That's when Liam Carey is going to show us how to look after our VR headsets, because we'd like them to last a really long time. And if we're lending them back and forth to our friends and neighbors, we want to make sure that our data is secure and safe. So join us for that. And I will see everyone in the metaverse. Take care. Bye for now.